Welcome back to the Casually Hardcore Podcast. I'm Nick.
I'm Alan.
I'm Joe.
And I'm Eric.
And welcome to episode 4. Now, we do have some unfortunate news. One of our original podcasting hosts, Billy, will no longer be on the show, but we'd like to thank him for his time in his first episodes, and he's more than welcome if he wants to join back in later episodes as a guest as well. But from here on out, we'll be us 4, and we'll try to bring on guests here and there if we can. But get used to our voices because we'll be hearing a lot of it. So today's episode is based on nostalgia, so we'll be talking a lot about games that are up and coming that have a nostalgic feel to it, games in the past that have a nostalgic feel. I know, for instance, examples, Mario Kart 8 just came out, and obviously we have a lot of nostalgia for Mario Kart 64. So, but to start off with gaming news, what's come up this week? I know a lot of stuff's come out, but is there any hot topic you guys want to press on real quick? Or?
Well, Overwatch passed 30 million players.
Back to Overwatch we go right away. So, but yeah, that's impressive, especially for a game that just launched, 6 months ago now?
It came out this summer. Yeah.
I mean, it's become a cult phenomenon, honestly.
Well,
It was like a year ago, not 6 months.
Was it a year?
Was it a year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this last spring. Yeah, it's
You're
been a
right.
year now.
It's
Wow.
spring, guys.
Wow, I know. Stop, dude.
We have like 2 weeks of school left.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, no.
Stop with all that.
That's actually terrifying.
That is extremely terrifying.
Well, I think part of the hype of Overwatch is it picked up and, modified where TF2 left off.
I agree.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it changed enough things to make it its own game, but I mean, nothing else had really ever been like TF2. And then
Nothing had been like tier 2 and been successful.
Right.
Exactly.
There's not been a lot of hero class-based shooters that actually
And
picked
then-
up where they left off.
And then, Overwatch comes out and suddenly the genre has been revived.
I feel bad for Gearbox because they tried to come out with their own version of it. What was it? Battleborn.
Yeah.
And that just got absolutely obliterated. So,
My friend said Battleborn was a good, first, single-player experience, but, the servers were kind of trash.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Honestly, it's Gearbox.
I had a friend who tried Battleborn when it first came out, and basically there was this one hero or this one character that was so much more overpowered than the rest. You could just sit kind of on the outside of the map and just pick people off. I think it was was it the Clockwork guy? I mean, it was.
I don't remember because I never looked into Battleborn.
I personally never played it. I just remember him saying that there was this one character you could choose and run around the outside of the map and just pick people off, just fueling your ultimate. And then when you got it, it was basically game over from there.
Speaking of Overwatch, you get all the future characters are all gonna be female.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Wait, what?
No.
So that's
No,
no.
Like, wow, I guess that's where we're going
there
now.
was this IGN interview with the creator with the head of Overwatch,
Okay.
and he was answering a bunch of people's questions that they posted to IGN. And one of the questions was, "Hey, I've noticed that all the extra characters, Ana, Sombra, Orisa, are all female. Is there kind of a reason behind that?" And he jokingly said, "Yeah, we like designing female characters more, and all the new characters are going to be female, and eventually we're just going to phase out all of the male characters." But people actually, for a while, thought he was dead serious.
I would take it. I mean, honestly, in this day and age with everything going on, I mean, that's,
Oh. Don't get too political
Yeah,
now.
seriously.
He also said that Hearthstone was the sequel to The Last Viking.
Oh, yeah.
Which-
Yeah. It's kind of nah.
Yeah.
Wait,
But,
is that actually official?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
This is all
These were all just
joking
making
around.
fun, yeah.
Okay, I
But
got you.
on other Overwatch news, voting for, I think, the World Cup is coming up pretty soon.
Oh, I know about that.
Yeah.
Is that for location or teams getting in, or what's
It's
the voting
for,
process
I
for?
think the voting is for players. You got to make a committee to make a team,
Okay,
which is a lot different from last year.
I got you. How is it different from last year?
Last year, you just picked players
Okay.
to compete, and that was kind of hellish because you
Right.
got people that make content for the community
Yeah.
playing with professional players.
So you have basically different styles of you have some competitive players
And,
versus celebrity personalities.
Countries
I got you.
obviously have advantages like South Korea
Oh,
USA.
Right.
versus places like Australia and Britain.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
It's kind of not fair at the same time.
And then kind of going off Overwatch, though, new character. Well, here's the Storm me and Eric been playing just because of the
Yeah.
Genji skin, but they added
So awesome.
Genji and Diva into Here's the Storm. Did you guys see the trailer?
Yes.
Where
So awesome.
Genji fights Diablo. That is so. I want them to make a movie about Overwatch. Honestly, the cinematics.
Originally, that's what the plan was.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they should.
Originally, what they wanted to do is they wanted to take. They wanted to make using the same cinematics that they did. I mean, not like all the characters, but using that cinematic style. They were going to make a movie called Overwatch. But what happened is they figured that
it wouldn't get enough traction, right?
Yeah, basically it didn't have fans, and so make a video game company making a movie that had nothing to do with any of the video games they had ever created. They were worried that it was just going to flop, so they ended up making the World of Warcraft movie.
Okay, interesting. Well, moving on from Overwatch, just because we talk about Overwatch every episode.
Yeah, basically.
And a little bit nostalgia too. Forza Horizon 3 is getting a Hot Wheels DLC expansion. I'm so hyped for that. Came out of nowhere. Like, who thought of a Hot Wheels DLC?
Well, Rocket League.
Oh, Rocket League also had the Bone Crusher and the other one, well, the Twin Turbo. Well, those cars are also being added into this too. Mattel is taking the world by storm, man. I was actually thinking about buying the Rocket League. I was gonna get
DLC,
the Hot Wheels cars, and I was gonna get the Dom's car from the Fate of the Furious, whatever number this Fast and Furious 8 or 9 or.
It's in the name.
It's the 8 of the Furious.
Yeah,
It's
the
8.
8.
It's the 8. Okay. All right. Well, great. Oh, it's the 8 of.
Yeah.
Funny pun on words there. But and then I guess For Honor's getting more characters.
More characters and more maps, apparently. I don't know if they're fixing their server problem, though.
I was about to ask that. Has anybody played For Honor recently since the server updates? 'Cause I think that's basically been abandoned by most of the community after the server issues. I mean, with games coming out so frequently now with such big budget names, I mean, if you mess up once with a big fuck up like that, you're toast.
Injustice 2 is coming out too with new characters. I think they got what was announced? Joker, Darkseid, Brainiac, and I think Catwoman was announced.
Yep. Because they had those trailers that show off a certain cast of characters, like basically it's like Meet the Injustice League kind of experimentational thing with that. But I know you're huge in the fighting community, so what's kind of like the take on this character roster?
I mean, I'm not huge in the fighting community, but I like Joker and the way he sort of plays.
Okay.
It looks interesting. Also, his style, the way they made the characters aesthetic looks pretty cool. To me, Darkseid looks OP as hell.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I saw him shooting crazy lasers out of his eyes, all directions. His Omega beams. Yeah, it looks a bit overwhelming, and I don't know how players are gonna deal with that because I personally haven't played much of Injustice myself.
Okay, that's awesome. I know you guys are huge Dark Souls fans. Considering last episode we talked about Dark Souls for a huge time.
Really?
There's a game coming out called The Surge. It's by Deck 13. Have you guys seen that at all? Because I'm actually pretty interested in that. It looks pretty like a more modern version.
I have not.
I have. It's like futuristic, sort of. It's not futuristic. It's sort of like technology based.
Mechs and power armor type ordeals.
Yeah. Oh, I do know what that is. Yeah, I don't know about it.
I think it's the same thing with a lot of basically any non-FromSoft Souls-like game. When it comes out, we'll see how it is. If it's great, then perfect. If it's not, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. I think that would become my first venture into another Dark Souls kind of style game. Either that or Dark Souls 3. We'll see.
Do play Dark Souls 1.
I tried.
Play Dark Souls 1 and beat Dark Souls 1.
No.
Get good, scrub.
Yeah,
I'm not. It's not that I'm not good. It's just.
Obviously, it's that you're not getting good.
I'm not good. But no, Xbox wise, with Phil Spencer announced that they're going to invest more into first party games, whatever that means. Consider they cancel half the stuff that they announce. But from an Xbox standpoint, I know you guys
will revive Scalebound.
I think Scalebound is dead.
Yeah.
I think it's.
I'm sad about
I'm
that.
very, very upset. But
There's upsetty in your spaghetti.
because I was really hyped by it. I mean, there's a lot of things D3 that were shown off. Like Fable Legends was shown off. Overwatch was shown. Or not Overwatch. Scalebound, and then you have games like Sea of Thieves and Crackdown 3, which have not been shown off in a while, and I'm nervous for those games too.
Mm-hmm.
And my little brother's a really big fan of Crackdown 1 and 2, and he's really excited for 3, but he's nervous that it might get canned because it was supposed to launch last year, and so we don't know if it's going to be a Scorpio kind of tie-in deal or like it promotes the power of the Scorpio. But Sea of Thieves is Rare's new title, And it looks cool, but it's been in alpha for 2 years, and it got announced in 2015, the same time the Scalebound got announced.
What's
So
the last thing Rare made? Was it just like the Connect stuff?
Connect stuff, and like the actual last game they made was Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Which was atrocious.
I liked it. I thought it was criminally underrated, honestly. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Well, the reason why it was underrated is because, going to the nostalgia theme, everyone wanted
Banjo 3.
Banjo 3, and everyone wanted
Well, I think
a
the problem is Nuts and Bolts wasn't a Banjo-Kazooie game.
Right.
They
It
should
was
have just
different,
called
yeah.
it something else. The
Yeah.
problem is that they tried to associate it with Banjo-Kazooie, and it just was not the same.
Yeah.
And they could have done that if they would have done a Banjo 3 and reestablished the franchise and say, hey, we're going to go back to the roots and then do some spin-offs. Maybe that will be better. Like, like Halo 3 ODS, you have your main franchise, it's doing really well. Then you can do some experimental stuff. But I think them trying to, champion it around as this is Banjo 3. No, it's not. You build vehicles and you barely do any platforming.
And something else that a lot of people are really butthurt about is that when it was advertised as Banjo 3. I mean, the world was set up, and all of the trailers and videos and everything of it looked like another Banjo-Kazooie game, and then they come around and pull the rug out from under you. I mean, it's like imagine a Gears of War game that suddenly turns into, I don't know.
A first-person shooter?
Not even that, but it goes from being a third-person shooter to suddenly like the next Cooking Mama.
Yeah.
That's really drastic.
That's really drastic train.
Yeah,
well,
it gets
drastic,
yeah,
but
I
I'm
guess
getting the
that.
point.
Well, I mean, with Banjo, Nuts and Bolts, you can still kind of have the game mechanics as 1 and 2, but Cookie Mama and Gears of War, actually, that'd be kind of interesting. What would you make? Like locust soup? Or like. Because you gotta feel like they have these
You
huge ass
make
muscles,
guns.
they're roided, so you make guns. Gunny
You
Mama.
make new steroids.
But Tekken 7 is like
Ooh, right.
being talked about for a possible Nintendo Switch version.
Interesting. The last Tekken 7 news I heard was that they're not bringing back Roger the Kangaroo because of the video where the dude punches the kangaroo. And he said the world's reaction to it, the reason why they're cutting him from the roster.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of
But
dumb.
the bear is going to be in it still, and they're making a panda bear. But apparently a bear and panda are fine to punch each other, but if you punch a kangaroo, everybody loses
I
their
thought
shit.
everybody was totally okay with that because the dude was saving his dog.
I was fine with that.
I was
was
fine
cool
with
with
it.
it.
I was cool with it just because the fact some dude punched a kangaroo, and the
He
kangaroo
just-
was like, what the hell just happened?
He's got some nuts on him, dude.
Yeah, seriously.
Also,
Kangaroos are dangerous.
Yeah, they are.
Tekken 7 news as well. I think a stage got removed by the developers because of their religious themes.
Oh, is that the one with the Saudi Arabia character?
I don't remember. I think
he's really cool. I think that's a really cool take on a Middle Eastern type of
Yeah,
character.
yeah. That was
was
the
his stage?
Yep.
And it's getting removed from the entire game, like
Yep.
officially?
It's like getting deleted because of what was it?
That's unfortunate.
Religious themes. They said I think the name, like the actual Allah name.
Yeah.
So they had to scrap that.
That's not to get too political, but stuff like that I feel like shouldn't be taken too seriously in games. I understand like if there's certain things that are being used improperly,
Yeah.
but I mean if it's maybe the company should do more research than I don't know, whatever. I
People just need
should,
to stop being so sensitive.
I agree. I think people are there's
But we're not here to be political.
not at all.
No,
So
just
now to
talking about-
Nintendo. So we're gonna go to foreign Japan companies. The 2DS XL, new Nintendo 2DS XL got announced. Does anybody here have a 3DS?
Yes.
Nope.
There you go, Eric.
But why
100
would you?
It's
buy-
it's $150 though. It's way
Oh,
cheaper.
That's super cheap.
It's what $100 cheaper than the new 3DS. And then I mean it's their newest tech, so it looks cool. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think I have a reason to buy it, but I kind of want to because it looks pretty rad.
It's the size of your cell phone, pretty
Yeah.
much. Like that little kind of crevice you have there is basically
Yeah.
what the thing would be. And you're gonna have more stock of this than there are of the Switch right now. So
Yeah.
All right, just a little interruption. I messed up. It's not Tekken. It's Street Fighter 5.
oh, Street Fighter 5, right? With the Taiwan stage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I heard about that. Street Fighter 5 is just a mess in general. They launched it and it was terrible. They didn't have enough content in it.
They launched it
For Evo.
before it was out.
They launched it for Evo.
Really, that was a
They
terrible
launched
idea.
it like in beta or whatever, with like when it wasn't even finished, and then like expected people to pay more money. It is a mess.
Well, if you see, like, if you probably know Guilty Gear. You heard of that series, that fighting series? Well, they're having another expansion update, like the super version of like Street Fighter. But for that, it's only a $20 upgrade if you have Revelator, which is the current version, where it comes with 5 characters, tons of stages, costumes, and that's only $20. Well, Capcom and Street Fighter V is charging their $25 Capcom Pro Tour DLC. It's 2 skins or 5 skins and 2 stages for $25. What a great value! Yeah. I mean, they're really stomping all over the name. And then a PS4 exclusive for such a historic fighter, that kind of rubs me the wrong way too. Just because, I mean, that's a big... Because I used to play Street Fighter a lot on all platforms, and I was a big 360 guy, so obviously I played it over there. I mean, I have both consoles so I can get it, but that just kind of... Those practices just kind of rub my way. It just, it's just...
I think you can get it on Steam, though.
You can get it on PC, yeah. It's just
yeah.
They just got rid of the Xbox crowd, and then that means there's no potential port to the Switch either. So
that's
true. And that also kind of irks me a little bit, because the Switch is a really cool console in the fact that for fighting games require a lot of practice. And to take a Street Fighter V on the go.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be really awesome for people that are always traveling that can't really get into competitive fighters, but now they have a chance to.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be really interesting. I'm trying to think what else they have on the news here that's news-worthy of the podcast. But
Call of Duty?
Call of Duty World War II, man. I know you two over there are excited about it. I think I'm probably the most excited guy in here because I'm probably the most casual of all 4 of us. But
it's just... We've kind of been burned by Call of Duty so many times.
Well, I do like that they're going back to their roots. I mean, Call of Duty.
It seems like
1, 2, and 3.
They're just like, Battlefields?
Well, Battlefield 1 went back to the World War 1, but
they're like, Battlefield 1 was successful. Let's just copy them.
Well, there's fan demand for it though too. We've been kind of asking for that for a while.
I've heard that argument. I disagree.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's not like the main reason, but I feel like I just don't think it's a very interesting move. Like I've never really been interested in Call of Duty games or Battlefield really. It just I just don't really care.
Yeah, I feel it. Well, I think kind of going to both points here. I think from a market standpoint, Activision was kind of worried to take that first step, and since EA did, they kind of proved that there is a market for these older style type of games. So going back to World War II or World War I era is a less risky venture now because EA went and did it. So, but from Call of Duty, they have 3 studios making a Call of Duty game every year. They can have variation. They can have one studio on World War II. They can have one studio on Modern, and they can have one on Future, and then they can spice it up. This whole Future campaign stuff was just so old and oversaturated.
Well, I think everyone was trying to be the next Halo.
Yeah, and it's just like leave franchises like Titanfall and Halo that are established futuristic alone.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of... Black Ops 2 I thought was kind of a good kind of flirtation with futuristics. It's not too future. There was some tech that's experimental prototypes now, and then there's stuff that's being used today. So that was a good kind of future variation.
Yeah, I agree.
But Advanced Warfare is kind of where that kind of boat started sailing a little bit. If it wasn't for Kevin Spacey, I probably would have hated that game.
True.
Because I love Kevin Spacey, and Kevin Spacey is...
Kevin
Spacey. What was the last Call of Duty game you guys have played, though? Like, actually played?
None of them.
3.
Modern Warfare 3?
Yeah.
Advanced Warfare was my last one.
You have not played a single COD at all?
I played at a friend's house.
Really? So what turns you off from the series so much?
I just am not a shooter guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Overwatch a lot, but that's because it's mouse and keyboard.
Okay, that makes sense.
I feel like shooters and controllers just don't mix.
I agree.
It
honestly.
feels a little bit awkward. Yeah.
That's why I think with crossplay is good for certain games. Like Rocket League would be great, Fighters would be great. But when I play, over at my friend's house, we play Counter-Strike.
That's because it's for precision.
Yeah, it's precision, and it Gears of War 4 just introduced ranked play, crossplay. And even a third-person shooter, I can tell when somebody has a mouse and keyboard because they can, you can see their character move a lot quicker, and it's just like, I'm at a huge disadvantage here, and it's
But like even Overwatch on consoles has like a little bit of an auto aim built into it to compensate for the fact that, and there isn't cross play between those, because it just wouldn't be fair.
And I think auto aim, I think that could be a cool experiment to see if there was a game that actually tried to do overall cross play as first person shooter where console players get auto aim to kind of balance out the PCs, point and click pretty much.
But that also seems kind of like cheap in a way.
Well, I don't think it would work because it's really interesting that Overwatch, can't escape it, it actually has a very different meta on
changes
and on PC.
Really?
Like characters are different. Like with Torbjorn on console is just like
OP.
Super strong.
Because technically it auto aims perfectly.
It's like it's that level of like the turret is just so strong compared to everything else. But on PC, like nobody plays Torbjorn.
Yeah, and on PC, I don't know, a really common matchup is if one team has a Farah, then the other team uses a Soldier 76 to take her out because it's super easy to aim and take her down with it. Whereas in console, I mean, I might just suck. I'll be honest. But in console, it's harder. And I have noticed some of those things, and I definitely think that there is a huge accuracy piece when it comes to any kind of shooter. And there was this one YouTube channel I watch. I can't remember them for the life of me, but they have all these tips and tricks for Overwatch that I've used to try and get better competitively. But all their stuff that they use is on PC, and some of it, or most of it, does work in both instances. Some of it doesn't transfer over, like the mouse movements, how you can do long sweeping movements, you can be so precise with it, doesn't transfer over to analog sticks. So,
and I think that's why certain games should have separate metas, just because from a controller standpoint, I would think would require a different type of skill set, because it's harder to aim. It's harder for games that don't do auto aim, and then for a PC standpoint, it's all about exact precision. So you have two competitive players that they're pitted against each other. Obviously, the PC guy would win, but from a competitive watching standpoint, they're both fun to watch just because of how much skill is regarded in each version. So I think there's an audience for both, and crossplay, as much as I champion for it and really want it, I think certain games shouldn't have it. At least through PC now. If PS4 and Xbox finally got their act together and are starting Microsoft and did crossplay, I think that'd be really cool.
Interesting.
Like imagine kind of going to Elder Scrolls Online, they have that battle mode, if you guys have heard of that, where it's 100 versus 100 players. And it's basically one of the things that they demoed and they tested their studio, because the studio now has crossplay, is they did 100 PS4s versus 100 Xbox and like a little versus, but they can't officially release it because of Microsoft and Sony not having agreements together. So it's kind of a buzzkill. But kind of going to our topic today with nostalgia, I guess the first thing would be, what's the game that you have the most nostalgia for? Like, what's the biggest hard-on you have for a nostalgia game? Like, what makes you tick in that realm?
I already know.
Alan, let's go with you, man.
It's either Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past.
And why is that?
Because I beat them both when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Why do you think? Why does anyone have for those two games?
No, but like I bonded kind of with my dad playing those games. Okay. So that's kind of like why I have the most attachment to those two in particular.
And every time, like, did you buy the 3DS remake? And
no, I still have my SNES, so I just play on that.
That's so cool. Joe, what about you, man?
Sonic Heroes.
Okay. All right.
Good game. And Fusion Fall.
Fusion Fall, I've never heard of that.
It's the Cartoon Network MMO.
Oh, Fusion Fall, yes! Oh my god, I totally forgot. I'm gonna go and do a nostalgia trip right now.
Yeah.
Holy crap, I totally forgot about that. I played that a ton, because they had, who did I play? I played as Dexter. No, the blue blob. Blue? Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Q-Kazoo.
Beauregard Q-Kazoo.
Wow,
Don't
dude.
you forget it.
You're making me go back to a kid again.
Yeah.
That hit me in the feels.
Good.
2009.
Good.
Eric, what about you, man?
I'd have to say it's a tie between Super Smash Bros. Melee and Star Fox Adventures. Now,
Ooh, that's a good game.
There's a lot of people that'll give me flack for that because it's not a true Star Fox game. But the reason why is it's the first video game that I played with my entire family. Like my mom, my dad, and my sister all played it with me, and we'd all help each other with the puzzles.
Okay.
And I was really young at the time, and it was also my parents' kind of first glimpse into video games, like as they are kind of now, I guess. And then Super Smash Bros. Melee, I was the only kid in my neighborhood that had it. So everyone would come over to my house to play it.
That's super cool.
And I would also like play against my dad, and I would play against my sister. And so those are kind of my two big nostalgia ones.
Man, just thinking about how Nintendo is basically most of our games here, just because how classic they were.
I mean, they were really, really strong when we were young.
They were dominant.
And they've gone a little downhill, but they still maintain a presence.
Their quality is incredible. That's why their games their price lasts so long, because these games are made so well.
Well, something I wonder though is, are they still so strong because of the nostalgia? Because think about, what do you guys think about Splatoon?
My little brother loves it to death and put like 200 hours into it. I personally like more mature shooters, so I couldn't really get into it too much. But I think for a younger audience, it might work well. But it's getting a sequel, and it came out 2 years ago. So
yeah. I mean, I know for me, I tried it for a little bit and I put it down, and I've never had the want to go back to it, because if I kind of like what you said, if I want a shooter, I'm gonna go to a Battlefield or a Battlefront or a Call of Duty. But if I want kind of that, younger feel, I guess I would go for like. I would go for like another Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Like a Super Smash Bros. Or something like that.
Well, going to your point though, I think nostalgia sold you on Splatoon though, because your appeal to shooters is the more mature shooter, but the fact that you bought Splatoon is because you love Nintendo and their products. So I'd say nostalgia definitely plays into Nintendo a lot.
It definitely does.
I know.
What was I gonna say? Personally, for me, Splatoon, I didn't play it. I didn't buy it because I didn't have a Wii U. But at the same time, it didn't seem like my kind of game.
I got you.
Because I think at the same time it was nostalgia. It didn't seem like the kind of game Nintendo would normally make.
Right.
So I was a bit apprehensive whether it'd be good or not.
And I'm glad it's popular. I'm glad Nintendo finally has a game for almost every genre. I know it's not a first-person shooter, but it's still a shooter-ish. That's why I kind of hope they bring back Metroid Prime. But beyond that, my nostalgia games, there's kind of 3 of them that I kind of over time went through. The first game that I actually ever played with my mom, I played Yoshi's Story. You guys ever heard of that on the N64? And I played that a ton. That's why Shy Guy was my favorite Nintendo character. But the second game I played a lot was Luigi's Mansion. And again, that was with my mom.
Yeah.
And I'd come home from school, we'd turn the lights all off, and we'd play it. Me and my mom would play it together, and it would scare the crap out of me. But I loved it. It was so much fun. And then I guess the game that stuck with me through my childhood, because with the housing crash and all that, times were tough, was RuneScape. And I played the old school RuneScape a lot. A lot of my buddies played it, and it was a cheap membership. I didn't have to pay for an Xbox. I didn't have to pay for anything else other than that. Just get on a computer and play with all your buddies. And I'd spend hours and hours. I'd be playing till 2 a.m. Then I'd get up at 6 a.m. and go cut trees some more. So I played that game probably. I still play it a little bit today, honestly. So I guess the nostalgia keeps bringing me back, even though I look at it, I'm like, why did I waste time with this? But I guess that's kind of everybody's kind of last point on that. Was there ever a game for you guys that you can always consistently come back to because of your love for it? Like a game that even if how old it was, you just always kept coming back to it, even if it's just a little bit.
Mega Man X.
Mega Man X.
I love Mega Man X so much.
Yeah.
I love the soundtrack. I love the gameplay.
Okay.
And it's just it's easy to get back into too.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Did you get the Mega Man X collection?
No. I actually have it like an SNES cartridge.
Oh wow, okay. So you're going old school with some classics, man. Do you collect old school games, or do you
No, this is just stuff I kept from when I was a little kid.
Joe, what about you, man?
What was I gonna say? Shoot.
I don't know. You tell me.
Hold on. Mario Galaxy 2.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you keep coming back to that?
It's just a great game.
Yeah.
It's like every part of it is just like Mario Galaxy 1. I said this last week. Mario Galaxy 1 is great, but it kind of repeats itself. Mario Galaxy 2 is just great.
Yeah. There's a lot of replay value.
Yeah.
I'm slowly chipping it. I put maybe a week's worth every year into Galaxy 2, so I'm slowly getting to the end of it. But maybe we'll make it in a decade or two. We'll figure it out. Eric, what about you, man?
I'd have to say, I can always come back to is the Dragon Age franchise. Any one of them.
And which one the most? Is this just like an entire series playthrough, or just one game in particular?
Oh man, they all bring something. That's the cool thing about the Dragon Age franchise for me is they all bring something so unique and interesting into it. Dragon Age 1 is awesome, but it's a little slower pace.
Yeah.
Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm not sure you can really count any of these games in nostalgia, but some Dragon Age 1 came out when we were in high school.
Wow.
So I can always go back to that one, and Dragon Age Inquisition is much faster paced. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
And Dragon Age 2 kind of melds the two together pretty well. Plus, Hawk is just a badass.
You like Dragon Age 2? Going into that?
You know, I do like Dragon Age 2. I feel like in that one, the consequences feel so much worse when you mess up, because right off the bat, like, depending on what class you choose for your character, warrior, rogue, or mage, it decides which one of your siblings dies right away.
No.
By the way, spoilers.
Well, to kind of give you guys some background real quick, have you guys, Alan and Joe, have you guys played Dragon Age before?
No.
So Dragon Age 1 is this huge fantasy opera that spans the entire continent pretty much. And this
just one country, Ferelden. That's it.
Okay. Well, it spans a lot. It's massive. And the choices you make are way larger. Now, and then you go from this scope of a game to a lot smaller scope where everything happens basically in a port town.
An island with a port town called Kirkwall.
So the controversy there is just people were disappointed in the fact that the scale was brought down so much, and they wanted it to be more of a spin-off than an actual direct sequel. And this was also the time when EA had bought BioWare, so this was their first BioWare game post-EA. So this is where the downfall kind of falls. So that's kind of the history on why there's some controversy. But back to why you're liking it.
So... yeah, and actually I kind of liked, too, how it scaled it down, because with Dragon Age 1, something that I thought was kind of lacking was when you went to the capital city, there were three or four places you could go, and that was it. But in when it's this massive city,
right.
And, I'd like to go to more places. You could go to the main square, you could go to the castle, and the Elf District. And by the way, the elves are treated as second-class citizens.
Yep.
So that's fun backstory. So those were the three places you could go, and then there were some other places where you could only go during quests. And I thought, and there was a pub you could go to. But other than that, there was nowhere you could go, and I thought that was kind of lame. But then in Dragon Age 2, the whole thing took place in the city and a little bit outside of the city for just exploration. But it added so much depth to that one place you were in, because you went to the slums, you went to the market, you went to the high class area, you would go see where the politicians hung out, you would go to the the police station. I mean, it added so much of this world to it. You could go to the port. I mean, it added so much more to this, and because they scaled it down, I feel like they really increased the depth of the characters. Now, Dragon Age, in my opinion, is a lot like Mass Effect in that each character has a lot of backstory, but in 2, the consequences and how you interact and the things you have to do with them, I think, are way better than the first one. Because in the first one, you can buy fancy gifts. They have a gift system, so you can buy gifts and just keep throwing them at your companions, and unless you royally screw up, side with the main antagonist,
Don't do that.
Yeah, screw up. You can always bring them back to your side by just throwing gifts at them, so in that instance, your decisions don't matter.
Yeah.
Well, in Dragon Age 2, threw that out the window. There's no gift system. You can give some people, upgrades, which will, maybe make them a little more favorable, but in the end, it's your actions that depict how people will treat you, and people will leave your party.
That's good.
If you mess it up too bad, they will leave, or they will fight you. They will turn on you. And that adds another depth to it. And, there's just so many more consequences. The biggest thing for me with Dragon Age 2 was that within the first 2 major story arcs, both of your siblings can die if you don't make the right decisions.
Yeah.
If you don't bring... So, first of all, one of your siblings will die. That is just how it works. And then if you do not bring one specific character with you for one arc, your other sibling dies. And they die horrible... And you have to kill them. Because if you don't, they turn into a monster or they die slowly and painfully.
Wow.
So, and then you come back and you have to then tell your mother that they died under your watch. And so then your mom hates you.
Nice.
All within the first, I don't know, hour of the game. Sorry. Tangent of dragging it over. I love that series. I can always go back to it. There's so much depth and character development to it.
And you can see how much he loves it, just
Yeah.
by how escalated he talks more and more about it. You can definitely, in the hand motion too. There's always
Hand motion.
Always hand. Maybe we can get a way to show him the hand motion, maybe a photo or something. I don't
Maybe.
know. But it definitely adds to the experience. So I guess to kind of close it off with, I'm not as passionate about this game as but is Melee. I'm hacked my Wii U just so I could play a ROM of Melee. It's one of my only GameCube games I have on there. So and it's just something I can always play, here and there, spottily of a time, just because of how simplistic it is to get into it, and then at the same time you can get so good at it over time. So there's just a huge way to start. It's like starting over a game with like a new save, pretty much. It's basically you play for a long time, you get really good, you stop playing for a while, you come back, you realize you aren't as good as you used to be, so you start over again, and you can use new characters. And I don't know, it's a game that I played from middle school when it came out, right, or elementary.
Melee?
Yeah.
Melee came out in like 2001.
Elementary school till college. So I mean
Yeah.
that's a game that's been with me for a while. And this next segment I'm gonna throw next to you guys, since it's nostalgia and Nintendo came up with their Switch, let's talk about the failed promises of the Wii U, man. What's the Wii U didn't deliver? I could start it off with their E3 showing up. 90% of their games that were shown off in that demo reel didn't actually come to the console. They're already batting, 100 pretty much right out the gate of their launch. Reason being, they showed off Dirt. Dirt never came. They showed off Metro Last Light. That didn't come. The EA guy, or the head guy at the time, was like, imagine Battlefield and Frostbite on the Wii U.
No.
Yeah, imagine keyword there, right? Imagine's a good thing with the console.
Also, like, they kind of neutered themselves marketing-wise.
Yeah.
Because they didn't market it as a separate console from the Wii.
I guess to kind of ask that, did you guys think at first, did you guys know that the Wii U was a console? Or did you think it was a tablet?
I thought it was an add-on.
I thought it was an add-on.
I knew it was a console.
Well, of course. All right, Joe. I
On the
know
ball.
Let's go.
it. So, I mean, from a Wii U side, who all here has a Wii U or has played a Wii U?
I
played a
Played
Wii U.
one.
I have a
I
Wii
love
U.
it.
You a Wii U now?
I don't have a Wii U, and I'm not gonna buy one.
I'm gonna keep my Wii U because
It's great.
it's amazing, and I can hack the crap out of it, and I can play a ton of free games on there, so that's nice.
I believe it was Ryan Haywood of Achievement Hunter who said, it's like Nintendo wanted to create a good console, but then they gave us the Wii U instead.
I feel like the Wii U should have been Nintendo's counterpart to the 360 and PS3 generation. It was an HD console. It was powerful. It had basically the same type of games on there, but companies didn't optimize for it because by the time it came out 2 years later, the PS4 and Xbox One came out.
Yeah.
And it was just a wrong place and the wrong time. And I feel like the Wii was also the same way. I mean, their underpowered consoles completely, threw them out of the race in that department.
Well, I feel like I don't know about you guys, but I feel like Nintendo comes out with their new console earlier than Microsoft and Sony because
totally
the Wii came out significantly before the
Xbox 3.
before the
PlayStation 3.
PlayStation 3, and the Wii U came out. I don't know. It came out before the 4 and the 1.
Yeah.
Like, way before.
Yeah.
And now the Switch. I mean, we haven't heard really anything about.
Yeah, they don't really. They have a weird schedule, but I think what they did wrong was that, and I remember seeing a few videos on this, but the Wii U was too confusing to just like the average viewer, like the way it works, but the console itself is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's a
Like,
fun console.
It is, and it has a lot of good games on it.
Oh, I know, because you like a lot of Platinum games with Devil May Cry and all that,
Oh,
or
yeah.
with the one they made. But Bayonetta was great on there. Captain Toad was awesome. I actually personally like Sonic Lost World, if you guys have heard of that. I thought that was pretty fun. The DLC was free and really cool. But they totally ditched non-core consumers. Think about it. From the casual standpoint, they only had one iteration of sports titles. I mean, and sports titles never really been too strong on their platform anyways, but the casual audience is mainly made up of Call of Duty and sports titles and, Assassin's Creed here and there. And so they cut off that huge market share.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you kind of have people kind of like me that I consider myself that's in between a casual and core. Like I dabble in games like Persona 5, but I still like FIFA and Madden. They didn't even have those games either. And so they neglected their Nintendo fans because they didn't launch IPs.
Yeah.
Barely anything that was. They only had Splatoon, which was their
Yeah.
big success. But they didn't have games like with the Switch. Like they didn't have ARMS that's coming out. They didn't take risks. I think Hyrule Legends maybe would have been a risk, but that's kind of a soft risk.
That's
I think.
really soft because it's got that nostalgia factor.
Yeah, it's
right?
nostalgia. It's Zelda. It's literally every Zelda character pretty much ever. And then you have more DLC and they sell based on nostalgia. Like I bought the DLC for it, even though I don't really play the Wii U anymore. But because it had, Skull Cave was one of the characters, and I love Majora's Mask so much. I bought that, so tie in the nostalgia there. But I just, I wanted the console to succeed really well. That's why I got one. But I just want Nintendo from here on out to be able to have everything. I want them to be able to have the sports titles, the Call of Duty titles, but I want them to have Mario too.
Yeah.
Because if they had that, they'd dominate. But their online infrastructure, that was awful terrible. But Miiverse was fun too. See, it's for every one step forward they had, I feel like the console took 2 steps back in a way.
Well, I mean, I think it's also they can't have shooters.
Right.
Because Nintendo is Nintendo.
Yeah.
They want to keep themselves separate from that kind of grimy, sort of
kid-friendly
hardcore audience that the PlayStation and Xbox have.
Right, and that's kind of what, if you see people today kind of have that opinion, they think Nintendo is the kid version, the kid console. Or families are like, I want a Nintendo console because my 3 or 4 or 6-year-old can play it. And then they grow up, and then they move on to Xbox or PlayStation because that's the mature console.
Well, but
I think. Oh, sorry.
Well, all I was gonna say is I have family members who have new additions to the family, young kids, and they have Xboxes because when they figure when the kid is growing up, they'll play sports games with them.
Right.
And actually shooters like Call of Duty, which have become so unrealistic.
Right.
They don't have a problem showing their kid that, or something like Halo.
Yeah.
So something that's so, once again, unrealistic, they don't have a problem showing their kid. So I think that even with that I want the Wii because it's kid friendly, I think that's even getting phased out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the big thing, my opinion, once again, I don't have the Wii U, I don't have the 3DS. I think the nostalgia is getting phased out a little bit because we have other games that we have nostalgia for now.
Yeah.
Because before it was Legend of Zelda, it was Mario, it was Super Smash Bros, it was Fire Emblem, and those were Fire Emblems for me, by the way. And then those were the games that we clung tightly to because that's what we played when we were kids. But now, when we were growing up, we had other games. We had Halo. I know you have put so many hours into Halo.
Yeah.
I love Halo too, and I don't even have an Xbox. I play, Kingdom Hearts a lot, which I would gladly show to my kids. And we have these other games that now pull us in that nostalgia thing. So I definitely agree with what Nick was saying of Nintendo needs to branch out and do more because they are losing that nostalgia power, in my opinion.
And going off of that, I think nostalgia changes as we get older too. I know, I actually kind of thought that's kind of cool. As I got older, I played more Halo, and Halo's more nostalgia to me. But at the same time now, the games I played as a kid, well, that's, the same times I played Halo, it's the same year gap almost. It's, obviously a little bit more significant, but the first time I played Halo 1 was like 10 years ago. Because we're old as shit now. Yeah. And it's just, they still have the ability to be nostalgic now because they were so long ago, and they have, my early teens are now nostalgic to me. Because I'm no longer a teenager anymore. Yeah. I think everybody here, Joe, you're almost 20, right? You're still
I'm 19.
Still a teenager.
No, I'm not.
19.
You're not 20 yet.
You're not 20 yet.
Still a teenager.
But, I think to Eric's point, kind of hit me there, is that as we get older, games that we played through our pre-teens and all that are also now becoming more nostalgic. And
I'm nostalgic for Dark Souls, and I played that 2 years ago.
all of them?
One, specifically.
The first one.
You played the first one 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. So that
I'm
kind of took you by
nostalgic
that took your world by storm because you're a huge fanboy of Dark Souls now.
Yeah.
So good.
That's what happens when you play it.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
Amazing what happens when a game is good.
All right, but do you think that there's there's games that use nostalgia properly.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. Mario is a great example with the Galaxy. They keep the Mario characters there, but they add a new element. So they have the nostalgia to pull you in, and they don't have to build.
Just Nintendo games.
Nintendo is
Yeah,
king
and
at
they don't-
nostalgia.
they don't-
Easily.
Nintendo, except for Legend of Zelda, I feel doesn't really have to build their worlds anymore because they can pretty much assume that who's ever going to buy the game knows it. If you look at Mario, it doesn't spend any time building any kind of world. It's like, hey, look, it's Mario.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, Halo 5 recently just came out, and their last DLC for the game was a classic armor set. And it launched like 10 different sets of classic armors from old Halos, and they sold for $10. And they released today that they sold over $2 million worth of these packs. That's nostalgia right there in a game that came out a year or 2 years ago. So I think if nostalgia is huge for franchises that have history.
And also another big example of nostalgia done right, Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, each Final Fantasy game is very, very different from the last, but at the same time, it holds so many of the same things. Every single Final Fantasy game has Chocobo.
Yeah.
Every single Final Fantasy game has magic. Every single Final Fantasy game has summoning. Well, most of them do. Some of the early ones don't.
Well, Final Fantasy VII Remake is all based on nostalgia.
Yeah, and so there's
Well,
ways.
that's not entirely true. I mean, I haven't played the original, but I'm extremely excited for.
Well,
Okay.
That being said, I did still have an attachment to the characters, just through like the Advent Children. I don't know if you guys ever saw
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
so there are certainly ways to do nostalgia well, and I think the two biggest ways are if you expand on it or change it enough, like a Mario or like a Final Fantasy, or if you are doing it absolutely on purpose, like the armor pack or
Yeah.
like the HD editions.
It's like the love of the fans, pretty much.
I kind of think there's like a third sort of way
And what's that?
to bounce off like Resident Evil, like the series, right?
Oh, yeah.
The first one was really good, right?
Yeah.
Great. But then they sort of started to change into less horror and more into action.
Yeah.
And it kind of lost the feel that this is a Resident Evil game, right? So I think with Resident Evil 7, they kind of tapped into the nostalgia of like the premise, right?
Yeah,
Where anything can kill you easily.
yeah.
Instead of like, oh, you got tons of ammo, you got tons of health, you're gonna survive no matter what.
You have a gun which can kill even bosses in one hit. That's actually in Resident Evil.
Yeah, and I think to that, because 7 definitely went back to its roots. And then I guess like Call of Duty too, in a sense. You know, they're going back to their roots as well, what they originally were. And to your point, yeah, I think nostalgia, when done correctly, brings back that older fan base. Because as over time, as gamers come and go, I know at least for this is our hobby, this is what I love to do, and this is something that I'm really passionate about. But our friends, you know, us growing up, they slowly leave, and they have games that they played a lot, but that's it. So these companies, like, you know, Resident Evil or Call of Duty, they want to bring those fans back. And how do you do that?
Well, I think something else is going off of like friends, and now that we're getting older, you know, people are going their separate ways. I think this online mixing with nostalgia is something that is definitely going to start picking up a lot of steam, because I'd say we're the generation of gamers that really capitalize on online.
Yeah.
I mean, it was there, especially like if you think about like Quake. That was the first ever online shooter, but it didn't pick up steam until I think, you know, around the time of Modern Warfare. I think is when it was there, but it really picked up steam around that time.
Well, to your point, I definitely say we've gone through every iteration of online upgrades. Kind of going to that indie movie
like
you
we're
watch. Yeah.
we're the generation that started off right with like the SNES stuff like that,
Yeah.
and slowly progressed to online.
We were the first one with Xbox Live and Sony PSN. We were the first ones to experience the digital marketplace. We're the first ones to experience, you know, enhanced gaming and the friends list.
Yeah.
We have been the guinea pigs for literally almost every iteration of online advancement.
So now imagine this. Say, what's a game we all played a lot with our friends? I know for me, I played a ton of Call of Duty with my friends, especially like Nazi Zombies. Mario Party.
Smash Bros.
Bro,
Yeah.
Smash Bros. Now imagine.
Brawl.
Get out of here.
Come at
Anyway, but now
Okay.
imagine this. You and all of your friends have started going their separate ways for jobs, for graduate school, for just travel, and suddenly they come out with Super Smash Bros. Melee or Brawl, the new
Project M is our happy medium with this.
The new Super Smash Bros. Title that can link anywhere, and suddenly you have your friend going to school in California, your other friend who's traveling in Europe, and you have you who's wherever you are, and you can still play those games with them.
That is the future, and I think it's kind of already happening now.
I'm not saying it's gonna like take over things.
I mean, with the Switch, it's gonna be so much easier, right?
Yeah.
If implementations like that happen with the Switch, I think it'll be a great device.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's selling so much. There's so many times during the semester where I've just had nothing to do, but I was on campus because I had to go to work in 30 minutes. And I'm like, I had the Switch right now, could play a game of Mario Kart or Zelda or knock something in. Because you can just display it up, sit in the corner and play. Yeah. And at the same time, too, with the sociability aspect of it, everybody else has a Switch, too. When it gets to the point where people actually have it, like everybody has it, you can whip it out and just play with people. And they have that kind of...
Yeah, and there's also like the multiplayer.
Yeah.
You just use the Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
I really want to like it.
I think that's everybody.
I want to have more stuff. It needs to have more stuff.
I think E3 is going to be the point where if they release a Smash Bros. Edition...
They said that they're going to have no presence at E3.
Well, they do the Direct.
Oh, yeah, they do the Direct.
I mean, they have a presence at E3. They just don't do a live show. They have booths and all that set up. They just don't do a presentation anymore. And the presentations are slowly starting to become different, too. And I think we can touch more about that when it gets closer. Probably our last episode for the season could be a more pre-E3 show if you guys wanted to do that. But I know we're kind of closing in the last 10 to 9 minutes of the podcast, so our, always the end of the day is the cheapest game for the cheapest gamers in the world based off nostalgia. So what's a cheap game that you would recommend that's full of nostalgia but would relate to our audience?
Emulators.
Yeah?
Emulate something.
endorse pirating.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing.
What about you,
I'm gonna say Shovel Knight.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it picks off the nostalgia factor, but it's a separate game by itself.
Yeah. And it's only $20 too.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
All the DLC, you get on all of the 3 different expansions. Yeah, I think that's a great one. Good one, man. Eric, Joe, I know you said emulators, but come on, man. They got to spend some of it. Oh, they don't.
I started playing the new Shovel Knight DLC, and it's Plague Knight, which was the first DLC.
Yeah.
Was not super different from Shovel Knight. It was sort of, it felt like it was a different character moving around in the same world. But the Spectre Knight is super good. Super good.
I know for me, I can throw one out here, is Rare Replay. If you have an Xbox, Rare Replay comes with 30 games of Rare's history. So you have Banjo-Kazooie 1 and 2, you have Nuts and Bolts, you have Conquer Reloaded, you have Project Gemini, and all the other little nicks and necks. Or Battletoads especially have that. They don't have the Rare Nintendo days. They don't have GoldenEye or the Donkey Kong games. But other than that, you can basically play every game ever made by Rare from their establishment till today for $20 now. So I think if an Xbox, it's a great deal for you.
Yeah, I am going to actually do a podcast first and say I would also say Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
Yep. I can't think of one off the top of my head. First thing that came to me was Witcher 3, but only because there's 2 before it, and it's such a great deal for a game. But I would have to say, in terms of the nostalgia factor, I would absolutely say Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight. So everybody kind of here in a universal agreement that go buy Shovel Knight and
buy
Overwatch.
Shovel
Shovel Knight and Overwatch. We got to throw that in there
After every single thing, always buy Overwatch.
Just sell out.
Just sell out. We're going to get
Sponsor
endorsed by
us,
Blizzard.
Blizzard.
Sponsor us, please.
If you wanted to sponsor us, I would do pretty much anything.
We will change our intro outro music to Overwatch music. It will be entirely themed of Overwatch.
It'll be Tracer saying "Cheers, love" for 30 seconds.
Oh my God! No more. As everybody, Overwatch-wise, because this is kind of our final little end log here, has everybody got their Genji skin?
Genji skin?
Nah, I'm not going to get it.
Yeah,
I got it before.
I'm too lazy.
Well, he got it before. He was the cool kids club that had it. So I saw someone on eBay sold an account with that skin for $250.
What?
And that was sold a month ago. So
That's
imagine
kind
how that
of
person's feeling
hilarious.
right about now. Alan, you're not going to do it? It's only 5 matches. It took us, what, an hour and a half? If that.
I'm going to learn to play League of Legends today, so.
Oh, some League. Oh, are you going to be... Oh, yeah, another thing, too. So, on campus, they have started an esports team here at St. Thomas. And we're starting out with League of Legends. But the goal is to add in more games and more teams. But this is an esports team sponsored by St. Thomas.
You know,
And
I really would like to join if I had a better computer.
No, but they have computers.
They
on
have
campus
computers
that let
there you can
play.
use.
Yeah, I can. If anybody's interested, you can get a hold of me or any of us here on the show. We have every Thursday night or every couple Thursday nights we'll come together, do some practice teams. I know we're gonna do a lot of heavy recruiting next semester.
Would love to do that.
But we're going to have a varsity team that travels and plays the teams at the U of M, NDSU, and teams around our area. And then we're going to have 2 other teams, which will be more of a casual team and kind of like a backup team.
Casual.
Or casual, just so we can have matches and players to fill in roles. And the goal is to become a big organization enough to the point that we can support multiple teams and coaches and players and make this rival, sports on campus. So we're at the starting stages, but if you'd like to join, or if you guys like to join Joe or Eric, I know Eric's excited. Joe, I can't read you at all. I have no idea.
What are the teams?
So it's League of Legends for right now.
And then they're going to see if they can
Overwatch.
expand.
And they're going to expand.
Overwatch.
They're going to expand
Probably.
into fighting games. I know they want to expand into popular shooters, and it's just
I do Overwatch.
And it's just
I'm not really crazy about League.
I love MOBAs. I'm not very good at them because my computer's shit.
Well, they have a computer room and all that, so you can bring your own
computer to not be able to play MOBAs.
He was struggling, and I'm kind of struggling too. Mine wasn't as bad, but
Yeah,
it was.
I'm talking like I get into
5 frames per second type bad.
If
And that was Heroes of the Storm.
Heroes of the Storm
On
so.
low everything.
See,
so
my laptop is meant for holding the countless gigs of data for all of the stuff I write. It is not meant for gaming.
yeah, honestly, I mean, my computer can run RuneScape, which is great, but a toaster can run that. So it's
Yeah, I downloaded KOTOR 1 and 2 from Steam. It can struggle with that sometimes.
and that's like OG Xbox, like
Yeah.
early 2000s. So I mean, I can play OG Xbox games pretty well, which is actually pretty great.
Yeah.
Because OG Xbox is nostalgic.
I'm probably going to make my own computer.
But yeah, that's kind of the last little, shameless plug-in we have there is buy Overwatch, buy other games, and join our esports team here at St. Thomas for our St. Thomas listeners. But that kind of concludes episode 4, our first episode of the second half of the first season. We have 2 more episodes left, and we're done with the first season. Holy crap, guys! It's been a fun journey so far.
Yeah.
I mean, and the last episode will probably be themed around E3, considering it's gonna be right before the summer, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. But again, I'm Nick.
I'm Alan.
Joe. I'm Eric.
And thanks for joining us, guys. Stay tuned for next week. Have a good one.